Anyway, Zuko and Iroh are just in Omashu now. We needed a whole scene showing how Aang and company got in, but we gloss over how the people who are an actual threat managed to do so. Sure, whatever. This town really hates outsiders, I guess. Again, Iroh is being a goofball around food, while Zuko is like, damn, this place is a dump. Speaking of this place being a dump, Zuko sees one of the destroyed buildings, and Iroh explains that spies are bombing the shit out of the city, which infuriates Zuko, who says that it's not right for firebenders to hide their faces in a fight and act all sneaky, which he's doing right now. He also says Ozai would never approve of such an underhanded tactic. Hey, Zuko, do you remember how you got your fucking scar? Do you remember Ozai speaking up in protest when the general proposed his extremely underhanded plan? No? In fact, in this show, it's even worse, since Ozai is flat out supportive of the plan, and he gives Zuko shit for opposing it while not coming up with a better solution. This is just yet another example of Zuko's goofy ass honor system that we'll get to in time, but just keep this particular example in mind for next episode. Speaking of underhanded, Azula sends a letter to Zhao basically telling him to keep her informed on what's going on with the Avatar and Zuko, and in exchange she'll repay him in the future. This is how he ends up getting promoted to Admiral in the future. Not because he's actually a competent threat, but because Azula does him a solid for babysitting her stupid fucking brother. Man, Zhao is so awesome in this show. Azula being so threatened by Zuko's potential success that she ends up working with Zhao honestly sounds like someone's weird fanfiction. It's a genuinely bizarre string of events. Hey, Aang and Sokka are actually in a scene together and sharing dialogue. That's fucking crazy. But it's just Aang relaying to Sokka everything he's learned. And I find it kind of amusing that Sokka has no idea where Katara is in this strange city filled with spies and terrorists, and he hasn't seen her all day. And that just kind of never concerned him. I guess he read the script and knew that she was safe and sound. Oh wait, there she is. And now we get to the secret 4th episode that we're adapting. The Great Divide. And this is easily the best adapted story so far because they're both bad and annoying. See, Sokka is siding with the Zhang, with Sai, while Katara sides with the Ganjin, Jet. They're both getting super emotional over people they just met, and super distrusting of people they barely know. Sokka's got his couple hour-long mentorship with the Mechanist, and Katara has her instant infatuation with Jet. And that's what's driving them apart, rather than Sokka having an actual reason to distrust Jet after getting to know and interact with him, which is such a complete fucking waste. Jet wasn't just a Katara episode, it was also a pretty big Sokka episode. And his interactions with Jet were interesting to watch as their different values and ideas of leadership clash with one another. Anyway, they go back and forth for a while Aang basically just sits there. I actually don't know why Teo isn't here. And then Sokka says something that I find very funny.
This is just like you, Katara, willing to believe anything as long as it helps you.
Thank you for spelling out one of Katara's character traits, Sokka. Otherwise, I might not have known she had any at all. I hear that line and gosh, I just think back to all those times where Katara believed something as long as it helped her. Like, at least Sokka tries to say an actually funny line here.
Where are you going?
To prove you're a jerk.
Oh, yeah? Well, I don't need proof of that.
The comedic timing of this show is all off, which is a shame since even though I mostly praise the show's more serious writings in this series, Avatar also had a lot of value in its comedy. There's some really fantastic jokes throughout the series. And then as Katara is going to prove that Sokka's a jerk, we get this scene. Listen, don't you fucking dare. I'm not really a big shipping guy, right? It's not my thing. I don't see the appeal in it. But when some shippers are really fucking annoying, they don't deserve to see their ship become canon. See, I've been harping on about Aang and Katara's relationship this whole series because it's not just enough that Katang succeeds. Zutara must fail. Also, even if you are going for it, like, Zuko and Katara have absolutely nothing in this series. Certainly not up to this point. The first moment that people might point to for hinting towards the Zutara thing might be the waterbending scroll when Zuko's trying to goad her into giving up Aang in exchange for her mother's necklace. Like, yeah, there's some BDSM power dynamic stuff going on here. You got the ropes, the manipulation, some villain and damsel stuff. It's kinky, but I can at least see where people are coming from with that. This though? This ain't shit. Literally nothing is happening here. There's no character interaction, no dialogue, no chemistry, nothing. I have no idea what people who are watching this without having seen the original show would think of this other than, wait, Why did he even do that? People on Twitter only went fucking ballistic over this scene because they already shipped Zutara like 15 years ago and will use any time the two interact without one trying to murder the other as fuel for their shipping fire. Like I said, these people deserve to fail. Anyway, Katara runs into Jet again, and now that he's indoctrinated her into his weird cult in the woods, he's a lot more comfortable being flat out evil around her. Jet only dropped his facade when he was completely caught in the original, and the first thing he tried to do was explain his logic and reasoning behind flooding the town. He was pretty direct about it, but now he's being all shady and sinister. Okay, so their plan involves swapping Sai's briefcase with a completely identical one that they just happened to have for this mission. What if he had like a different kind of briefcase? Different color. Hell, what if it was a custom-made briefcase? That doesn't seem too unreasonable considering what's inside might be some kind of mechanism. Whatever, their briefcase is full of blasting jelly, and their plan is to blow it up once he goes to see Boomi, killing both the traitor and the incompetent king. Here's the thing, that's kind of a way less evil plan than Jet originally had, and a much more genuine argument could be made that he's doing the right thing here. I mean, hey, good guy or not, Sai is still making deals with the Fire Nation when he really doesn't need to in this situation. And spoilers, Boomi isn't letting firebenders into his city for any good reason. He's actually incompetent. And double spoilers, fuck this guy, he deserves to die. The only innocent party being sacrificed here is Teo. And to be frank, I don't even know why he's here to begin with. Why is he going with Sai? He's not an inventor. And he should have very good reason to be on edge after what he found in the mines. But it's like all of his memories of everything he did in this entire episode just got wiped, and he doesn't have a care in the world. Did the fucking Dai Li get to him? Like, they think that by showing Teo slightly out of frame here, we can ignore the fact that he would absolutely have seen the Duke switching out the briefcases, but give me a fucking break, he's crippled, not blind. But back to the point, the town that Jet was going to wipe out had mostly innocent people living in it. Women, children, the elderly, that town just happened to be occupied by the Fire Nation. But even the Fire Nation's citizens in it weren't all bad. The old man that Jet attacked was a stand-up dude. A lot better than this asshole from Imprisoned, fuck this guy. It was pretty damn nuanced for a kid's show. It showed that nationality doesn't equal morality, that people with good intentions can be pushed too far into villainous territory, and that you can't justify killing countless innocents even if it means killing a handful of bad guys. Zach. Now though, yeah, Jet's kind of right. Boomi has let Omashu go to shit, basically everyone in the show says as much, and hey, guess what, he's an awful fucking person. The end goal has gone from who would be free, everyone would be dead, to kill the incompetent king and free Omashu from his reign of idiocy. The death of one child who shouldn't even be there in the first place, and who I think is only there to make Jet's actions less justifiable, since he has no greater purpose here, or in this entire episode, let's be real. For an entire city? One of the last cities not occupied by the Fire Nation in the entire world? That's a price even I might be willing to pay. Jet's not quite on the level of Otoya Yamaguchi, but he won't let evil take root, and anyone willing to kill Boomi is alright in my book. Anyway, Katara's like, hey, you guys were right all along, and I guess her meeting Jet and having that talk with him must have taken like a fucking minute because they haven't moved at all. And they go to save Sai, but uh-oh, here's Zuko and Iroh. Oh, by the way, Zuko, you are an imbecile. You are unfathomably lucky that no one is around to see you blasting fire in this Earth Kingdom city. Iroh, you are letting him be an imbecile. Damn, and all three characters were actually on screen together for a second, but they gotta go save Sai. This is Aang's fight, and I'm sure it'll be one he's really good at. Hey Aang, you know, just you know airbending, right? This thing you could just fucking just blow him away! Just whoosh! Boom! Gone! What are you doing? He's not even firebending and you're losing! What is this goopy ass fight scene? Fucking Zuko is using a staff better than you ever have, Aang! And where even is your staff? He didn't even lose at mid-fight like he always does. He just doesn't fucking have it. Where did it go? And why do you refuse to airbend at all? Okay, to reel in my incredulity at this, I appreciate that this fight scene is attempting to use the environment to its advantage. It's a big marketplace, we have a lot to play around with in terms of an action set piece, but it's just so distracting how not only is Aang being completely overwhelmed by Zuko, when the only reason he surrendered to Zuko 2 episodes ago is because they were going to burn down the village, but the sheer fact that the last airbender is utterly refusing to airbend, and is actually on the ropes against Zuko, who isn't even firebending. Anyway, Sokka gets the idea to use the mail system to go up to the palace. I kinda thought that, like, the chutes could only go down. You know, gravity and all that. I don't doubt that earthbending could make them go up, but then you'd have to get inside one of the chutes while an earthbender is sending it up. So naturally, they don't show that process because it would make no sense. These aren't intended to be written. Or jumped out of, but fuck it, I'm not a physicist. I'm sure someone who knows more about momentum conservation than me can tell me if this is bullshit or not. Zuko is like, hey, quit running away and actually fight me. So yeah, I'm right with you there, Zuko. And Aang is like, why? Why is this so important to you? To which Zuko responds, because you're an enemy of the Fire Nation. And Aang is just like, that's the reason you've hunted me for 3 years? And Zuko's response is that Aang couldn't know that he's been hunting him for 3 years unless he stole the almighty fucking journal. Ugh. And this act of theft enrages him so much that he firebends in public in the middle of a crowded fucking marketplace. Ugh. Also, the cabbage merchant gets to have an overdramatic reaction to his cabbages being burned by Zuko. I'm sure he had fun with that. I'm glad someone had fun with this show. Zuko cares about his notebook so fucking much that he is willing to expose himself as a firebender in front of all these people because he's that enraged that Aang stole it. What drugs are you on, Zuko? Why are you fucking stupid? I know there's a scene in Zuko Alone where basically the same thing happens, but first of all, Zuko's life was in serious danger there, while Aang has been on the ropes this entire quote-unquote fight, and second of all, that was a huge character moment for Zuko. He thought of the last thing he ever heard his mother say to him, to never forget who he is, and to answer that question of, who are you? Who is Prince Zuko? This is his answer, that he's a ruthless firebender, furious and proud, and the prince of the Fire Nation. This is so important because even though we've seen Zuko go on such a massive journey up until this point, and we see him do good things for the sake of good people, we can see that he's just not there yet. That pride, that ego, and that rage all hold him back. And it helps us understand how he can ultimately betray everyone to get back to this image of himself. This Zuko is just grumpy that his notebook got stolen. The notebook that cannot help him in any way, shape, or form. Why are you so concerned about your stupid notebook when the prize it's supposed to lead you to is right in front of you? God damn it, the show is so stupid. Whatever, Katara and Sokka make it to the palace where Sai is about to present his shit to Boomi. Longshot is just in a tree, very plainly visible with a flaming arrow, like 50 feet away from the king. No one else sees this. Why would they? Especially Boomi's Kingsguard. Also, you have a sniper trained on the... he's aiming right at the fucking... Just shoot Boomi! Why go through all this rigmarole if you know where Sai lives and getting a fucking archer trained on the king is this easy? You should have shot him years ago! Are you fucking... Okay. Katara water whips the flaming arrow in midair to extinguish it, and ye fucking haw, the day is saved. She did the water whip, so her character arc of already doing the water whip earlier in this episode is complete. Seemed a bit unnecessary. I would have gone for like a really big splash of water to really make sure I got that arrow, instead of trying the equivalent of hitting an arrow in midair with another arrow. But what the fuck do I know? I'm not a waterbender. I haven't balanced my fucking energy or whatever shit. Fuck. Then Aang is so unbothered by Zuko's general presence that he spends his time extinguishing all the fires he started, while Iroh's like, hey, our cover's blown, we gotta go. Which Zuko does. Okay. But oh no, the gate to the city is about to be closed. So Iroh tells Zuko to save himself, pushes Zuko to the ground, which only slows them both down, and exposes himself to the soldiers. No, not like that. No, like as a firebender. So in Winter Solstice Part 1, Iroh gets captured by earthbenders after staying in a hot spring for too long. And now it's because he sacrificed himself to let Zuko go when he kind of just didn't need to. Like, I really feel like they both could have made it. This is the same shit as the cold open all over again. So Zuko leaves. There he is. out of the city, and Aang is cleaning up the mess as Earthbenders capture him too, for some reason. In the original, he was captured because he ended up wreaking havoc throughout the city after riding in the mail carts. But now he's getting captured because now that their business in Omashu is more or less done, nothing would be stopping them from leaving if it weren't for this shitty cliffhanger. And we roll credits. God, that episode was worse than I remembered. I remembered really hating the Omashu arc in particular for this show, but I thought that was just because I fucking hated Boomi and what they did in the next episode especially. But no, this was really bad too. Everything with Azula was just painful. One of Avatar's most beloved villains just absolutely butchered from the ground up. It's just sad to watch, really. The Aang story felt super undercooked. Teo as a character basically just disappears after going into the mines, but even then, all we got from him were 2 character traits that don't even get followed up on in the episode. We don't get to see him and Aang butt heads over their tactics and values. We don't get to see his pride in his father shattered as he realizes he's a traitor until the next episode. He may as well not even be there. And that's kind of a big ass problem with Katara and Sokka's subplots too. Katara straight up doesn't confront Jet until the next episode. And Sokka doesn't come to any kind of conclusion on what path to choose in his life. There's no payoff for his newfound passion for engineering brought on by his relationship with Sai. They tried to do something with Katara finally pulling off the water whip, but she already did that earlier in the episode anyway. But at the very least, there's a tiny bit of something there with her using what Jet taught her to foil his own plans. You could work with that with another draft of the script, maybe. This all makes it kind of hard to judge this episode as a full package because it isn't one. It's half a story, something the original Avatar was actually quite good at handling. Two-parters usually ended up having their own little self-contained stories within them. Even if one episode led directly into another, the major plot beats from the last episode were usually resolved. Imagine if Ying just didn't have the baby in the Serpent's Pass until the middle of the drill, and then she just isn't seen for the rest of the episode after that. That would completely kill the pacing. That's what it's like seeing Jet get mere seconds of screen time in the next episode as Katara finally shuts him out for good and wraps up his story. And I think a lot of these issues could be fixed if you just straight up removed the Azula scenes. They didn't need to exist at all. You'd have several minutes to clean up all the loose plot threads and make the episode feel a lot more complete. As it stands, I'm honestly having a hard time ranking these episodes on just how bad they are. It seems like every single one is filled with so many glaring problems that it's hard to see the good aspects shining through. I like the Cabbage Man cameos. He was nice. The city looked good, even if nothing else did. But I'm sure we'll get to see a lot more of it in the next episode. And a lot more of Sokka and Katara than we ever wanted to see. Oh dear God.